So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or comments? We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried. Regular agenda, we have public comments, petitions, and memorials. We received a thank you from Randy Collins. He's thanking that his water has recently went to excellent at 305 Shawnee. And he's thanking the water department for whatever they did to help him with his water. Next item has to do with the floodplain management ordinance that I'm going to let Larry tell us briefly what this is about, please.
Commissioners, what this is an ordinance that needs to be approved by the city, but it really has minimal effect on most of the property owners in the city of Hiawatha. I'm trying to get to the map here. Basically, there's been new rules set out by FEMA and the state of Kansas that says every community has to have a revised floodplain ordinance, and there has to be some specific measures on how we would deal with development and remodeling with property inside that floodplain zones. Fortunately for everybody else in town, there's very little impact. But on the southwest part of town, along the
Wolf River.
Little Wolf River, whatever it is, there are a few properties that are going to be affected by that. So the ordinance says, well, FEMA has said that the city must have an ordinance in order for the floodplain insurance program to work. If we did not have the ordinance, the people that were along that floodplain and had mortgages on most pieces of property would not be able to get new floodplain insurance or renewals to their current floodplain. So really what we're allowing is giving those folks that may have development in that area an opportunity to keep their flood insurance if they have it, and to get it if they need it. So, but all for the rest of us in town, it doesn't have any impact. But it's got to be there, or these folks have a big problem. What happens with mortgages is that the mortgage companies will say to Larry, you need flood insurance on this property. And if I can't buy it, then the mortgage company says, well, you have to pay off the mortgage immediately. Sorry for the voice. So it gives the property owners in that area some comfort that we can take care of them in that regard. So any questions? We'll reserve questions after the public hearing too.
We're required to hold a public hearing for this floodplain management. So at 6:42, I'm going to open the floor to the public hearing. If anyone has any comments. Hearing no comments, I will make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments? We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried.
Commissioners, I recommend that you approve this ordinance.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2108, adopting a floodplain ordinance.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? We'll vote.
Commissioner Shepherd,
Aye.
Commissioner Mendor,
Aye.
Commissioner Chambers,
Aye.
Commissioner Wiltie.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item is a request from Brent Crowther. Brent, would you like to come up to the podium and tell us what you have, please?
Microphone be muted. On the Zoom,
Ah.
it says muted. I just checked. Sorry, Brent.
No, you're all right.
I don't know if it matters.
Go ahead.
I was just here to,
Maybe it's not.
Sorry about that.
no problem.
I didn't know.
No, I think this one.
Never mind.
Anyways, I was just requesting for your consideration a restoration to my previous sewer rate. Had some issues with the service line in, and originally at that point, the ground was still frozen, so we weren't able to kind of pinpoint what the situation was. But once it thawed, it became plainly evident. So I had the line replaced since, and that. So after visiting with the staff and that, they had brought it to my attention that the sewer rate had been changed for the upcoming year, and they recommended that I ask for your consideration in the matter.
Okay. Lynette, it looks like you've done the homework on Brent's past billings, and you're recommending that we make an adjustment back to his sewer consumption of 1,310.
Correct.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve Brent Crowder's sewer rate to be the same as last year's consumption and adjust the account accordingly to allow rate to remain until the 2023 rate adjustment is calculated.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion or questions? We'll vote.
All in favor,
Aye.
all opposed.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is consideration of approval of a 3-year animal impound and holding contract with the Brown County Humane Society. Mickey, you want to explain this? You got your memo here, but did you have anything to add to that? Or you want to go over that?
There's minimal change. I hand delivered bid request to all the 3 vendors in the Hiawatha area. We got one lone bid in from the Brown County Humane Society, who was already under the contract with us. And the only change for their proposal was a $10 increase for euthanasia of the animals. And they said that's what they're incurring from the veterinarians when they have to do that. So that was the only change from our previous contract we're under.
Okay.
So
I'll make a motion to approve the bid and award contract for animal impound and holding to the Brown County Humane Society for a term to expire June 1st, 2025.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments?
Do we need to add that $10 into the contract, or that's all good then? Okay.
Other questions? We'll vote.
All in favor,
Aye.
all opposed.
Motion carried. Next item is consideration of approval of Atlas Electric Pay Request number 2 for the airport AB 2022-10 and authorize the mayor to sign. This is for the electrical vault out at the airport that is pretty well completed, I believe.
That is correct. It's not fully 100%, but it's 99%.
Yeah, it looks like they got the electric service installed already, right? Yeah. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Sorry, it's not in my little world, trying to catch up.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions or comments? We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried. Next item is consideration of appointment of a city clerk. On behalf of the mayor, he would like to appoint Lynette Greer as our city clerk. And I would make a motion to approve the appointment of Lynette Greer to the city clerk for an unexpired term.
Second.
Are there any other questions or comments? We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Opposed?
opposed?
Sorry. Motion carried. Congratulations, Lynette.
Thank you.
It's a good thing.
Next item is consideration of appointment of Chris Diller to the library board for the 2022-2026 term. I believe the library board has made this recommendation, correct? So on behalf of the mayor, he would like to appoint Chris Diller to the library board. So I'll make a motion to consider appointment. I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Chris Diller to the library board for the 2022-2026 term. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions or comments? We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried. We have update from library director, Aaron. Going to come up.
Good evening. All right. Well, thank you for that. We're happy now to have a full board at the library with Chris now approved. I know I sent in my packet of information. In my director's report, I'll start with the fun information. Our summer library program, Oceans of Possibilities, has started. It kicked off this last Thursday, the same day that school got out. We had 142 people come to the library and sign up for our summer library program, which is already 10 more signups than we had for all of last year, because anyone can still come and sign up if they would like to for the rest of the summer. We have weekly and monthly events for all ages, and we have chances to win prizes for participating in our reading challenge, and even anybody is welcome to come and get at least one prize every week. We also have a fun treasure chest if anybody would like to come check it out. We have squid hats, we have bookmarks, we have books, anything and everything for everyone. So that's been a lot of fun getting ready for Oceans of Possibilities this summer. And then it's not as fun to talk about budget, but we'll go on to that, and I suppose. The rest of my packet included statistics for the library in 2021, including a calculated social return on investment of $233 per person in Hiawatha in 2021. And we had a lot of other statistics that I will not just read line for line. But we also showed in those presentations, and when I got a chance to talk to most of you one-on-one at our library, we showed our growth in recent years, like adding our new technology pieces such as our hotspots, our laptops that people can check out for no charge, as well as our smart board anyone is able to use in our large meeting room. And then also in my director's report, I gave an overview of how our budget preparation works. Since we've had so many new board members recently, we wanted to give an overview for them, and they all said that it was helpful. So I just thought I would include it here as well, since the city is a part of our budget process. And so I won't read word for word all of it because it is quite long, and we've talked a lot about it recently with all of you. So basically what we're getting at is that I included the part of our budget that is included in the city's budget overall. And so we're looking for our approved budget from our Board of Trustees approved $155,000 in our general library fund for 2023. And then we would like to also add a library employee benefit fund that would be budgeted for $36,000 for 2023 as well. So in short, the Memorial Public Library's Board of Trustees does recommend that the city of Hiawatha establish a library benefit fund. Happy to answer any more questions if anybody's thought of them, but that is really why we came here tonight, is to see if we could establish a library employee benefit fund.
Did you happen to have any recommendation of how we would fund that employee fund?
No, no, not yet. I'm happy to still look into it and see if I can get more information. I know a representative from the Northeast Kansas Library System will be at our board meeting on Wednesday for something else. And so I plan on not cornering him, but I plan on speaking with him and finding out what exactly is the process for levying that separate fund, because I'm not sure how that works. Yeah,
Okay.
but I just know that it's a separately levied fund from our general fund.
Okay. Well, as you know, Larry's working on with the department heads compiling their wish lists and their needs for the next
Absolutely.
year's budget, and your stuff is in here with it. So
Yes.
until we put all that
Okay.
together and see what it looks like
Okay,
and see what that does to our mill levies.
Yeah.
We can't give you an answer tonight. but,
okay,
Our goal is to end up with a revenue neutral budget like we had for this year.
okay.
And that's always challenging, but
Yes, it is. Okay,
we'll
okay.
keep you in the loop on that and do
Sure.
the best we can, and we'll
We
we'll see how it comes out when we get later.
just,
get further in
we
our
seem to be on
budgeting
top of
process.
things this year, so we thought we would just
Yeah.
come here tonight since we have all of that put together. So,
Well, and I do appreciate the effort you've put into this. I mean, talking to each one of us and
Yeah.
showing what you're doing, and all of the flyers and everything that you put in here to show what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is it's one
Yeah.
after the after. I mean,
Yes.
that's really great to see between the library and the rec.
yeah,
So I mean, we're getting a lot of stuff out there for kids and adults. So
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
very much noticed.
thank you. Yes, we're partnering a lot with Parks and Rec this summer. We have our story walk. We're going on a bear hunt up around City Lake, and they're helping us with our prom at the end of the summer. And yeah, we're very happy. We're also extremely pleasantly surprised with all of our sponsors for this year. We've had over $4,000 donated just for summer this year. So that's why we're able to offer 12 weeks worth of summer fun for everybody.
I mean, it just shows that this community wants to support the good things like that.
Yes.
And to have that, to give them that opportunity is a great thing too. So
Yes,
you have to have a point person to get it going.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I was very impressed with all of the programs you have put together already for this summer and later
Yes,
at the end of the year. So
absolutely.
doing a very good job.
Thank you. All right.
Anything else from anybody?
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Talk like a pirate day.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
that'll
have
be
lots of
fun.
Crafts and things for talk, like we'll show you how to tie knots, and we would have a vocabulary list of pirate.
You just need
vocab words.
ARG. That's all you
Yep.
need.
Okay, we'll go into reports from commission and staff. Larry, what do you have for us?
I have a couple of things. First one, at your place at the table today is a quote from First Due. It's an emergency response company, and they provided a quote for turnout gear for the fire department. And this came into us today. I talked with Patrick Sheldon, our fire chief. He has a budget of $6,000 for which he can take this $13,000 worth of expense. I told him that I'd like to see how he's going to take and fix the other 6 or 7. But he also said part of this thing is for wildland fire gear, which is not quite the same as what they'd use for a city fire response. It's a little lighter, but it's still fire retardant. And most of the time when you have a department director submit something like this, you want to get a full recommendation. But for him, he's still learning the ropes on that process. And so what I'd like for you to do tonight is authorize the purchase of his turnout equipment and wildland gear in the full amount. And then I will come back to you in the coming days and say, Patrick really wants this. He's going to have the company in measuring the 4 people that will be the beneficiary of this equipment on Wednesday. And so I do this with a degree of I'm comfortable he knows what he needs. And particularly it would be the turnout gear, which is in that 10,000 area. But I think he wants to back off on the other. But in case he doesn't, and he can figure out where he wants to pull the money out of his existing budget, I would recommend that you look at both of these and approve them contingent on us negotiating later in the week on what he actually wants.
And how he wants to adjust his budget to.
Absolutely.
Pay for it.
Yes,
Okay.
this is totally not the way to do it. But you know, when you have a new chief, you gotta show them the ropes here a little bit. And I volunteered this morning when this came in to do the whole thing with the idea that we can negotiate later in the week and make some adjustments to this, you know, if we come down to it.
Have a motion based on Larry's recommendation to purchase this equipment.
I'll make that motion, but not real sure how we want to word it. Is it just fine saying with your recommendation to purchase equipment needed, or?
Yeah, both invoices, both quotes that he has for, the one was the 10,000, 392.56, and the other one, 2,974.60. You can deal with it with quote A and quote B.
So,
That's your motion.
yeah, I guess I'll make a motion for quote A and quote B to
Okay. Contingent on,
what
We need to add
Patrick and
that.
Larry
How we
decides.
will figure out where he gets the remainder from his budget.
okay,
You know, if he can't get another 6,000 for the turnouts, then we'll limit the number of turnouts that he gets, not 4, it'll be 1 or 2.
yeah,
But, you know, he's got to figure that part out.
Okay.
You know, at this point in my experience here, I can't do that for him, but he needs to be able to do that.
okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions or comments? A vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried.
The next thing I had on the agenda is 2 meetings back, we expressed a willingness to give a 30-day grace period to one of the properties that what Dave Wilson was talking about. I want Dave to come up and give an update on that and how to make a recommendation.
Thank you for your time. The property we're talking about is 310 Hiawatha Avenue. And we, city employees and city administration have spent a considerable time trying to make a workable plan for the owners of the property at 310 Hiawatha Avenue. The property has been a continued source of blighting to the neighborhood and community. Notice has been given to resolve the property conditions, and the owners have not made valid efforts to make repairs. The building permits were obtained, and none of those conditions set forth in the scope of work has been adequately completed. Time was extended, as Mr. Payne indicated, and that work has not progressed. The property continues to be a source of blighting and in my opinion, needs to be demolished. Not as a penalty, it's just a time has run out to bring that property back to a state that is not blighting to the community. Do you have any questions regarding that property location?
And if I recall from the last meeting, the owners were supposed to present a plan for roofing and siding and have the yard cleaned up and have building permits applied for. Is any of that taking place that you know of?
I've nearly weekly, I drive by the property and sometimes I stop and take photographs of recent. I've taken photographs just to document for my own memory. And the yard conditions are extremely poor. The structure shows no demonstrable improvements. There's been some things changed, but it is still quite blighting, in my opinion, to the community. The property is poorly kept. And, you know, it probably had some potential at one time, but that time, in my opinion, has run out. We've had other properties that are as bad or worse. This one was a source of complaints for an extended period of time. We've worked on this for over 3 years. And the property was resolved to be demolished previously, and then time was extended because there was a plea to that repairs were going to be made, and some building permits were, a singular building permit was obtained, had multiple sources of work to be done, and an estimated dollar amount to be spent. And with each one of those steps in that reconstruction or repairs, they were to have called back to have inspection for those various aspects that they were doing, and that was never done. And so it does not appear that any valid efforts were ever considered to be in the future for that property. And again, it's my opinion is that those conditions are hazardous to not only the occupants, but to the adjacent property owners and the entire community. So one of the resolutions for resolving those conditions are to have it demolished.
Any commissioners have any comments, questions?
So there's been no permits or anything in the last 2 weeks, nothing?
No, none.
That was one of the conditions we set, if I remember from the last meeting, is that we needed to see progress. 2 meetings, it's been
You've slept since then.
I've slept since then. I've got the end of school year. It's not a fun decision to make, but we kept setting deadlines. I don't know how often we can keep kicking those down the road. So.
Commissioners, I think the motion that you might take tonight would be to instruct staff to complete the demolition process on this piece of property.
Have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
There a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion or comments? A vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried.
Dave, I do have a question on another property. I forget the address. It's the brick home across from Leipold's. It's on 501 something, Kansas.
It's 211 North
Yeah.
Fifth Street.
I got the 5 right. There's nothing holding that up, is there? That's also on the list.
It's also on the list.
Okay.
It is very blighting to the community.
Right.
And it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the occupant. I personally have not observed anyone living there. There appears to be, well, we know there's no water service. There's no gas service. There are dangerous things within the yard area, trees, and some portions of the structure that are in disrepair. And there's no valid effort to communicate that with from the owner's point of view. So it too is very extremely blighting to the community.
I just had some of the neighbors had asked me about it, and I had thought that it was still on the list. It's just that we have a list and hadn't got to it yet. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something I was forgetting.
Yes. It was on a group of properties that were in violation of the minimum housing code, and that one is it's not suitable for occupancy with no water. And there was a period of time, and I believe observations say that there may be someone still residing there.
Well,
Go ahead.
and one of the concerns was, that nothing's being mowed, and they didn't know if the city does. I mean, if there's anything we can do about that. I said I didn't know. I would ask people smarter than me.
One of the important parts that we try to accomplish is that we don't exercise those rights to do things without notice. And it is very difficult to provide notice at that location because of the reluctance to accept notice either by certified mail, police officer, or other sources that could deliver notice. And without the notice, then we can send letters directly to that location, and very likely the information is read. But then we have no confirmation that the notice was actually performed. So there is probably another way to either publish that, to make it known to everyone that is a reader of our official publication. And we've had a personal conversation with the owner, and but there's still no building permits or anything like that too.
So I just want to make sure we were still moving forward. So
Last time I knew, Andy was trying to draw something up so we could go in and possibly remove that fence and the pile of manure. And I haven't followed up with them to find out where we're at on that.
Okay.
And I've talked to the owner herself, and she's not willing to accommodate at all. So it's
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but there's been a lot of patient adjacent property owners that have felt that we were trying to make efforts to resolve that with her, and it appears to be a stumbling block, as well as a hazard to the community. So,
all right, thank you. I will check
You're
with
welcome.
Andy too. So
I've got
thanks.
one question for you, Dave.
Sure.
On the, I know that notice there's quite a few yards around town that empty lots that haven't been mowed yet. Have those letters been addressed to the property
Yeah,
owner or the?
I'm glad you asked. Last year, there were 80 some properties, and I keep track of them for more than one reason. One is that maybe one notice is sufficient to to cause continued efforts to mow the yard, keep it up to date. Some want that to be their diary system for us to tell them when to mow their yard. And that doesn't work so well because, 80, just to view 80 some properties is that you have a propensity of thinking that they may not mow their yard is a large undertaking. And in the summertime, I do have some help to do that. And we started that today. So a lot of notices have gone out. There's a couple ways that it can address there's a Article 4 weed ordinance, and weeds is defined as grass and that type of growth, vegetative growth that becomes unsightly. And there's another notice that we can send that's called a health nuisance. And in the health nuisance, Article 2, there is there's 5 or 6 paragraphs in there, but one has to do with grass, weeds, and unsightly vegetation. And with that, Article 2, health nuisance, I believe it gives an opportunity to exercise a municipal court system to help resolve the dispute over whether the yard should be mowed or not. And with efforts there, it's a pecuniary disadvantage for the property owner if the court system requires a penalty to accompany that violation. But it's also it's a notice that can be sent each and every time the yard needs to be mowed and prevents us from being the diary system for that property owner. The weed ordinance, Article 4, is also very good. It involves then, once we determine, it gives them 5 days to mow. And if they've not mowed in 5 days, then we can have our mowing crew do that. We can bill the person for those services of mowing their yard for them. And when we bill them, we have to give them 30 days to pay that bill. And then if they don't pay that bill within the 30 days, then we can put it on the tax roll. And there's a large portion of those properties that do not mow their yard that do not also pay their taxes. So we never get reimbursed for the mowing efforts.
Right.
But
I guess we need, just real quick, sorry, but we just need to like clarify it to everybody that just because we tear down the house doesn't mean that we're taking over the property. I've had several people complain or mention, why isn't the city mowing these lots? It's not our deal.
and
Hopefully it never
It's
is,
still,
but
it's
just
still the
because we-
property owners.
yeah, just
Yeah.
because we tear them down doesn't mean
Right.
that we're assuming the property and we own it, so.
yeah, the
City
property
doesn't
doesn't
own it.
change hands. And that same question repeats itself time and again. But it doesn't keep us from sending a notice
Right.
to the, and some of those where it's clear that the owner wants to use this for their diary system, and maybe it gets mowed and maybe it doesn't, is that those are some of the ones that I use the Article 2 health nuisance because it's pretty unsightly. So I'll keep after it, and maybe we'll have a better, more progress soon. But the one thing about there's an annual letter that can be sent, and I intended to have those sent in January, but there was a snag in some of the discussion about the notice. It only needs to be sent once a year, in my opinion. And that initial notice is the notice that's sent once a year.
Right.
But, to make sure that it's all set up to where we can get reimbursed for it, if ever, it needs to be done in an official document. And then delivered to them by certified mail. And there's some people wise to the fact that it may not be necessary to pick up your certified mail.
Correct.
So we'll try every angle in the world to make it a better and ongoing project that works.
Yeah.
So,
Commissioners, there's one of the things that I notice as an outsider is that there are a lot of problems that David is dealing with that should have been taken care of a long time ago. And, today I was up in his office talking about a couple of pieces of property and, really getting to the point where a lot of people don't like Dave and his work, but Dave is doing a tremendous job for this community of pointing out where things are not being properly taken care of. And I told him I'd be the rod in his back today. But the support that he gets for doing these projects really demands a lot of help from you all and people within the community. As I've driven around for the last month, this town has a lot of unique character to it. And when you have citizens of the community that are not stepping up, we need to step up and help them understand that they've got a responsibility to the rest of the people in this town. And helping Dave do that is important. I just wanted to add that to the comment. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks. And one other comment is that the people that are doing such a good job, they can't be complimented any better. The good example is great. It helps the community. It passes on some type of effort that people know that they're being responsible for their property. So thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Evans, do you have anything for us?
I'd like to congratulate Lynette. I know that Lynette has a lot of knowledge of the city, and I feel she'll do a great job at taking over as clerk.
I agree. Anything else?
That's all I've got tonight.
Becky?
I don't think I have anything tonight.
I just quickly want to say that we had the Kansas Forestry Service out last week. They've been monitoring an ash tree out at the lake. They came last week. We cut some of the branches. Nick Hague cut the branches off. They stripped the bark and they found emerald ash borer. Pretty good infestation of emerald ash borer in that ash tree. That's a borer that has been working its way this way from the East Coast, and it's been destroying killing all the ash trees, or most of the ash trees that it encounters. So the tree board meets on Wednesday, and we're gonna I've already gotten some information from Kim Bomberger who was here last week when we worked on that tree, to try to educate the public of what EAB is and what ash trees look like, and that if you got an ash tree, there's a good chance coming sometime in the future that it'll be infected and likely die from that borer. So I don't know if we can post something on our website or something, but we'll try to make information available to anybody that has an ash tree on their property, because its days are probably numbered and I don't mean tomorrow or the next week or the next year, but sometime in the future, it's probably going to get infected and suffer. I think that's all I have.
Dave, I wanted to bounce back to mine. I
Okay.
forgot to comment that I read that you and a few others are going to be in charge of the plantings around the walking trail, I believe, or is-
Well, we're kind of trying to help get them back into shape, and we planted some stuff this morning. I won't say we're in charge of it, but
Well, but
we're
you're-
working with Stacy.
Stacy said that you were even going to help maintain it and everything all summer. So I just wanted to say thank you
Yeah,
for
we got
that.
2 of them
'cause
worked on this morning, so.
That walking trail is used quite a bit,
Yep.
and that's the little things that
Yeah.
stand out. So thank you for that.
Thanks for the comments. Brian, what do you have?
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay, we're going to move into the executive session. Have a motion to,
Here we go. I'll make the motion that the city commission recess into executive session in the conference room for a period of 90 minutes to discuss matters regarding an issue of potential city personnel. The justification for closing the meeting is to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel. The open meeting will resume at 7:50. That's not right, is it? Is that 90? 7:54?
Let's go 7:50 because we don't have to do those other 4 minutes.
Okay, we'll say at 7:50 in the commission chambers and to include the city commission interim administrator.
have a second?
We'll second it.
Any other discussion? We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried.
So I would make the motion that we go back into executive
I will,
session
for 10 minutes,
for
right?
10 minutes, and that's all you want to say.
No, I have to read the whole thing.
She can fill in. the rest. Well, I can
Okay,
do it
at,
before this.
at 7:50,
Excuse me.
well, now actually, what time is it? Yeah, well, that clock's wrong. At 7:50, I make the motion that the city commission is called back into open meeting. The commission took no binding action during executive session.
There a second?
I'll second it.
We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried.
I'll now make a motion that the city commission recess into executive session in the conference room for a period of 10 minutes to discuss matters regarding an issue of potential city personnel. The justification for closing the meeting is to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel. The open meeting will resume at 8:03 PM in the commission chambers and to include the city commission and interim administrator.
Second. We'll vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried.
We can't leave now. Tiffany's like, "Wait, or not Tiffany, Tish. Why not? Don't tell her I called her. Don't tell Tish I called her by the wrong name. At 8:05, I'd like to make the motion to announce that the city commission is called back into open meeting. The commission took no binding action during executive session.
Second? I'll second it.
Y'all don't want a second. Fine.
A vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks for staying so long.